Clock. Face next.
So let's get started. Roll call. We got everybody here but Chris and Jessica. All right, let's stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For your district vision statement, through intentionally designed systems, Haven School District is committed to creating a positive and inclusive culture, focusing on academic and personal success to ultimately be the district of choice for staff, students, and our communities. Agenda, do we have any additions to the agenda? Need a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Moved by Kelly, seconded by Ryan. All in favor? 4-0. Citizens Open Forum. Do you have any recognitions and presentations? Craig.
Yeah, so Ms. Peterson, if you'll please stand. We get to recognize Ms. Peterson for first quarter impact, and so I'll kind of read her nomination, what she was nominated for, and then allow her to say a few words if she so chooses. She doesn't have to, and then present her with her little check at this time. So she's already received her certificate. So Mrs. Peterson is dependable, dedicated, and a true collaborator, and highly competent in everything she does. She works tirelessly to plan lessons and engage students and make learning exciting, using a variety of strategies in her classroom. Always willing to help out, Mrs. Peterson takes on extra tasks to keep our building running smoothly. She greets every student with a smile and approaches her work with a positive attitude, no matter the challenge. Beyond the classroom, Mrs. Peterson is actively involved in DLT, serves as our MTSS coordinator, serves on the Education Foundation Board, and helps plan middle school reward trips. Her impact on students, staff, and our school district is clear. Thank you, Mrs. Peterson, for your work, and congratulations on your first quarter impact.
Thank you.
Well, now you're addressed the board. If you have anything to say, we'll put you on the spot, but then we'll take a quick picture.
Speech.
Thank you for, I don't know, thank you for supporting our district with everything you do, really, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Someone want to volunteer to get a picture of Ms. Peterson? I'm going to go right back there.
Okay.
I'll give you this.
Thank you.
See, I make you look small.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Here, go over here. Okay. Get these.
Perfect. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
You don't have to stay if you don't want to. Just hang out.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Financial reports.
Okay. Our ending cash for the month of November is $3,930,372.71. The checks that we had that were over $10,000 were to Benny Keith for $42,461.94 for food, Mid-Kansas Co-op for $10,929.25 for fuel, the City of Haven for $15,665.04 for utilities, Power School for $11,743.74 for renewal, and Two Trees for $10,700 for Microsoft 365. And that's it.
Any questions on that? All right, next up is the principal and director reports. Located in your drive.
We have some out sick, some ball games, so if we got questions that we can't get answered, we'll get them written down and get them for you if you do have questions.
Any thoughts on adding Cheney?
I think it's a good addition for the league. It makes the league better.
We already play them quite a bit.
Right. I think football, and as long as we stay 2A, I think they'll always stay 3A. So I think it makes the league better.
I'm not that excited about it.
Just because they're good at stuff, or is there other
Yes.
We could be better. That'll help us be better too,
Yes,
right?
oh,
Getting to
yes.
play the best makes you the best.
I know.
I'm not sure the risk of losing those schools is that those Hillsborough and Swift Valley, then you end up with 8 teams in your league, which makes all your brackets work.
Right, and I struggle seeing who will take Hillsborough. I mean, they're the two 1A, 2A leagues in that area. They're much better than us. So.
Yeah.
So was Pratt not gonna drop out of our league though, or change? Okay.
Pratt was, Acacia added Pratt 5, 6 years ago because they couldn't find a league that would take them.
Okay.
And so they were placed in our league. And so I don't see them going anywhere just because of their location of the 4A schools. Everything is so far away.
Nickerson's 4A too.
3A. Just like they're all their district games are 2.5 hours away in Pratt.
I think that big, what was it gonna be, like
The Super League.
the Super League, I mean, might, I don't know, just, I mean, you could match games up more by area.
It certainly makes scheduling.
Makes scheduling easier. It does open you up to have more longer drives to Beloit.
Well, if you
'Cause it's probably
schedule
one of those
based
deals-
off location
Yeah,
instead
well,
of.
it's probably one of those deals where you play the South Ave.
Future. So it just keeps us grounded, gives us something to hold ourselves accountable to, something to hold, one another and our students in our community. And, when we have, I'd like to get this and hang that up in the office. So when we have people coming in and doing tours and bringing people in for interviews and things like that, just, showing them how we do business at Haven Grade School. Turn it over to Ms. B
Yeah.
here.
So just a quick update, SEL stands for Social Emotional Learning. We have made a change to our Wildcat Way. The Wildcat Way is our building-wide expectations, so those common areas in the building, such as the hallway, the playground, bathrooms, that sort of thing. On the far left, you'll see those 3 categories. It used to be I am safe, I am respectful, and I am responsible, but we changed it to be I am engaged, I am respectful and responsible, so that's a change we made. We did kind of review this at the beginning of the school year. The teachers made a fun video where they practiced all of these areas, and the students really enjoyed that, so we shared that out. Another update would be our character standard quarterly prizes or parties. So we have what's called the Wildcat Warehouse, and the students earn Wildcat Bucks. But this year we are starting something new, 4th through 6th grade. Instead of just having tangible Wildcat Bucks where they can go shop at the store, we wanted to change that a little bit. And so they earn throughout the 9 weeks, and then they have a party at the end. So this 9 weeks, the first 9 weeks I guess I should say, we did a party where they got to choose, like they could go to a movie, they could go play video games in a classroom, there was karaoke, a lot of different fun activities. And then if you didn't have enough points, you did a restorative lesson where you worked on learning how you can get there, and then you could join later. So I think that's been a hit with the 4th through 6th graders, so we're still collecting feedback and kind of refining what that looks like, but it just changes it from being like small tangible items. And then last update on this topic would be our monthly assemblies. So we have character traits that go along with our social emotional curriculum, Character Strong. And this month right now it is empathy. So the kids are working on empathy, and their teachers can nominate them to receive the empathy award for the month. And the students have seemed to really respond well to that. So that's been a fun addition.
Just moving along here, the next thing you'll see is, where did a second ago?
No, that's correct.
Can you change it from your?
You do the computer. Well, I think you just click off of this.
There, now try it. There you go.
There we go. There we go. Oh, man. I'm
It's
bad.
so-
There we go.
What I handed you all, something we've worked a lot on, especially at the beginning of the year, and then just worked to reinforce throughout the year. One of the big kind of what, I guess to back myself up a little bit, in just reviewing our building level data, looking at, fast bridge, looking at state assessments. We wanna make sure we're doing everything we can to push the needle and to make sure we're getting kids what they need to learn academically. And, the lens we tried to view this through as a building this year are, there's lots of things outside of our control that affect how students do academically. There are, there's no doubt about that. We can sit and talk all day about those things, of course, but we want to focus on what are the things within our control, that we can say are our priorities, that if we do these things and we follow through and we hold, ourselves and one another accountable, this will give us the best chance to control, the best outcomes possible, knowing that we'll never truly have 100% control over those outcomes, but we can have control over the incomes. So just talking a little bit about background behind this and where the successful first semester and this first year, and start thinking about planning for next year already. So really the first thing I wanted to touch on today, again, just talking about, a change in leadership, with Mrs. Scott moving to the high school, bringing on a new assistant principal, Mrs. Borntrager.
Use that PLC time to look at that data, look at where kids are at, progress monitoring, see if they need moved, see what's working, see what needs changed. And so,
Yeah, and then just continuing on with that, and really all these work to support one another. But action step number 3, looking at making sure we're using resources in our Tier 2 and our Tier 3 intervention groups, that are grounded in that science of reading and research base and things that we know. Again, research has shown them to be impactful, and then we work with teachers to support them in getting those things implemented and getting progress monitoring in place that's aligned to this specific intervention piece that they're using. And then action step number 4 is really focused on all the standards alignment work that we're doing across the district and in our building. And really this is going to be what's going to, in my opinion, have the greatest impact and the most widespread impact, is just focusing on aligning, continuing to identify those priority standards, continuing to align what we're teaching and what we're assessing with those standards, and then implementing and monitoring high effect the instructional strategy. So once a month, 40 Crow's coming around to late starts, modeling an instructional strategy, and then we're checking, teachers are modeling that, or they're getting that modeled for them throughout the month, and then just follow up as necessary. So getting those high impact strategies in there, and then just focusing on the standards. And really, again, this was written to, not be viewed as 4 separate things, but really 4 things that are intertwined, and if we do all these things together, that's where we're going to see the biggest impact. Real quick, moving forward to capital outlay updates, as you guys, as a reminder, I'm sure you guys are well aware, just over the last couple of years, some things that have been done. As a reminder, this past summer we had the all new electrical installed. We got lots of great feedback there. Teachers have really enjoyed and appreciated that. Also, the maintenance crew did some updating there to the front office area. Again, that back wall there where you can see that welcome sign, and then also putting in that drop ceiling there. So the lighting is much improved, just aesthetically, much more welcoming environment there. And then the summer before this past one, if you guys remember, that's when we had that big office up on the stage, just to the east of our lunchroom, where it was a big counselor office. Then we split it in half, and then made a conference room and an additional office space, which ended up being greatly needed as we've continued to add staff members that require those office spaces. So just some continuing needs, and none of this will be new to you guys, but HVAC in the gym, and then also, and as you guys are aware, our systems are just getting dated. I would say that the number 1 complaint I hear from staff members, weekly is with HVAC. Either it's, my room won't cool down, or my room, just won't heat up today, or the circulation. And anyways, I think everyone's aware of how the HVAC is. Exterior, interior updates. I know we're looking into, Craig's getting quotes on, some exterior touch-ups to the exterior bricks and things like that. Continuing with the interior, so looking at like the lunchroom, and I know some things have been done. I believe, is it the ceiling in the lunchroom that we've done the ceiling?
Yeah.
But just looking at like the walls and things like that, kind of updating there. just hallways, looking at how we can make those more welcoming and inviting, and again, just aesthetically pleasing. Again, when we had our tour in the spring, I told you guys, I mean, it works, it gets the job done, it's just touch-ups and things like that. Another big one on the list, interior bells and hallway intercoms. We had someone out several weeks back now to do some inspecting on those. He was unable to get our hallway intercoms up and working and sing with our interior bells. So we have the exterior bells and we have the teacher phone speakers. But in order to actually get those hallway intercoms back up and running, he made it sound like we would need to, it would be a little bit more of a bigger deal. Classroom office spaces, as Darby will talk about on the next page, we're kind of monitoring enrollment and things like that to see what that might look like for next year. But as of now, I mean, we have 2 offices that share multiple staff members, and then we are utilizing our classroom spaces. And then just looking at the things like office desks, furniture, again, as we added a few people to our staff this past year, pretty slim on what we had left over for things like teacher desks to offer them and things like that. So I think this here is our last slide. Let Ms. D
Yep,
finish
so
this
just
up.
to round up some of our next steps, so you guys kind of know what we're doing. That first thing, just monitoring our enrollment, so we kind of know where to go for next year, what spaces we do have available, depending on how many grade levels we'll need 2 classrooms or 3, especially looking at that kindergarten class as well as the incoming preschoolers. And then some things that we're seeing in need for space, we're trying to work on the sensory space. We've had a few grants to get us some sensory materials, and a grant that our CUC just got to provide even more sensory materials. So a designated space for that, as well as a space for kids to regulate, tier 2 recovery room, potentially space for that small group. We talked about acceleration groups earlier. So right now we have pairs that meet sometimes in the cafeteria or in the hallway, which is working fine, but just thinking about that. And then we, like Braden said, we do have some staff members that are currently sharing an office. And then last but not least, when it comes to curriculum and assessment, we will continue to analyze our data and try to implement best practices, continue to work on that standards alignment. And then we're also working on that math adoption process. So our math team will start piloting some curriculums, and we've been to a few school districts to see those curriculums in action, so that's been good. What questions do you guys have for us?
What's the difference between a regulation space and a tier 2 behavior recovery room?
That's a really good question. So what I would say would be a regulation space would be when a student's already escalated to the point that we're not really talking, but we're trying to help them get to a space to where we can talk about what happened. Where tier 2 recovery would be more of, I don't want to say ISS, but kind of like that. Like maybe we can't be in the classroom right now. We need an alternate setting to do some work, to think about what we did and figure out how we can get back to our gen ed setting. Does that help?
Yeah, what do we do with that now?
So right now,
Well,
Right
we
outside
have,
of this, so
yeah, I mean, today I helped a student regulate, and we just kind of used the closest space available that we could that was safe for that child and all the other students. But then as far as when students need a break or need to work on stuff in an alternate location, it might be Mr. Morrison's office, my office. We have a desk in the main office by the secretaries. We have a desk right outside of the office. We just kind of do what we can. It's not ideal, but it works for now. But we would like a designated space where we can kind of make it more structured.
How frequently would you say you need to utilize that sort of situation? Is that a weekly, is that a daily?
We need an outdoor classroom, like we talked about there before. Or another building or something.
And I mean, if, like right now, we have one extra classroom that's not being used, so we utilize that for sensory needs, and small groups are ran through that. So depending on how our incoming classes, I mean, if we start having classrooms open up, that allows for space.
so right now, yeah, looking at our kindergarten numbers right now, that's when we're keeping a really close eye on, if they're gonna stay where they're at. I mean, it'd be hard to justify 3 sections next year with that, and then it's always hard to know how many pre-Ks are gonna end up coming here for kindergarten, but Megan did send a survey out to all those students to, what is your home district, where do you plan to attend? So, I mean, we've got somewhat of an idea there, and things could change, and I'm sure they will somewhat at least, but that's another one that's looking low, at least as of now. So, you know, if we do go from 3 to 2 sections places, then that would certainly open up some classroom spaces. I know one thing we've looked at is our adaptive program right now is right when you first enter the grade school there on the left. But it'd be nice if, you know, if one of those classrooms with a bathroom would free up to kind of be more of a permanent place to house that program. So there's a lot of different scenarios we've been thinking through and talking through, and enrollment will determine lots of that. But certainly something we're already thinking about and looking at for next year.
Any other questions? Thank you. Capital outlay. Fun times.
Well, just, we'll bring Chris up here, if he's awake still. Awake. Just to continue the conversations, from last month and the month before, kind of where we left off, got some direction to get some more information regarding the unit at Haven Middle School. And Chris, as I shared with the board, Chris had them come out. That diagnostic test cost us $1,000. I'm just saying that as the amount of money that we're possibly putting into that unit. And then he could talk through what they found and what that quote is. Our recommendation still to go with our plan of what we had recommended at Yoder, but then also knowing that that other unit is at, you know, it's at its recommended end of life. And that the costs could help prolong that, but I'll let Chris walk through that, answer any questions, and then we'll talk a little bit also then about the bids regarding the outside of the buildings, and if we want to just kind of put that on hold or where we're going to go from there. So Chris wanted to talk through what they found with that unit and put all the options there.
So, you know, currently on that particular unit, it has 2 or 3 leaks in the refrigerant line. So that would require them to have to vacuum all the old refrigerant out, and that just takes a lot of time to get that all out. They said it'd take 2 days, so their hourly rate and everything after doing that and repairing the leaks, it'd probably be about $8,000. And they still couldn't confirm to me, they're still not gonna say that's gonna fix it. They put nitrogen in it to pressure it up, and then they do a leak test. And those were the leaks they found with the nitrogen, but they're not guaranteeing they think it'll fix it, but they're not guaranteed that's gonna take care of it. So just to repair it, to get it up and running as it is right now, we'd be putting about that $8,000 into it. So I had the other quotes, I don't even have that in front of me, some of them, most of this by memory. Yeah, I know the boiler was, here's the boiler here. The boiler was around 70 or 80 or something, was that right? 81,000. That would give us 2 boilers. It'd be 2 small boilers, be a lot more efficient than what we have now. Ours is probably from the 70s or early 80s, the one that we currently have. It's running, it's working as it is right now. So to me, if we were gonna do that, we'd wanna do that with upgrade that with everything at the same time, rather than just replace the boiler now. When we have more information or more route we'd wanna go. The other was to replace that unit altogether. I believe that was around $100,000, 90 to 100,000. 99. Yeah. So that would be to replace the current unit we have, put it back up there, replace the unit that's bad right now, and then saying that we have another unit that goes up there. So it'd be essentially we'd have to do 2 of those units. And then at that time, you'd want to put the boiler in with it too, so you're looking at $275 to kind of go back the way we were, but everything would be new. But change everything to more the route I was leaning, it's gonna be, we've got quotes from $400 up to $650,000. So those are kinda the route that we were going and leaning for everything.
So just to replace the AC and the boilers of just shy of 200,000, right?
200, that'd be for
Two
the one,
units, right?
for 2 units, it'd be 200,000.
So
The
this is
other-
just one.
That's
The
just the
one
one
still
unit that is
works. Oh,
currently not
okay.
working right now,
And they're, how old are they, Chris?
18 years old.
That was the energy release?
Yeah, they were done during that time. So yeah, that's about the lifespan. They say 15 to 18 years, but we usually get at least 20 years out of our stuff, or a little bit longer. Those units really have been up since the day one. I was even talking to a guy that's worked on them several times out here. He just says those things have been a pain since day one. And they just, I think he thinks that possibly the A coil was, the coil in there was just not the right size, and we didn't have enough airflow. They kind of adapted it to what we had existing and put it in there, and it just, we haven't had the right airflow ever since. So that's kind of the reason I was trying to get away from what we're doing now and go a different route and just redo it all at once. No, do you guys have any more questions on that?
Are these just kind of what we're gonna be looking at as far as one of the several things as to what to do with the capital outlay, or is that, I mean, like, to when we need to have a decision based off this, cause.
There is no money to make any other decisions, Kelly.
I mean, if we wanted to get up running, I mean, if you're wanting to get it to run just for, if the other one broke down and we wouldn't have it, then my recommendation would be to spend the $8,000 and try to get it running and see
I'd
how
like
long
to
it'll
see if we
last.
can do that for right now, we can spend $800 to get it fixed for now, just get it running.
Yeah, I mean, if that's, then we'd have the 2 units, and then at least if one broke down, we'd have another one still going, so we.
They can't give you any guarantee as to whether or not it's actually gonna fix it.
No, they won't, and I would get 2 other companies to bid it. I think we could probably get it a little bit done, a little bit cheaper than that. I sent this out to all these, to 3 different companies, and I got 1 bid back from every company, but not 3 bids from all companies. It's kind of, they're struggling with trying to fix with what we have, because they know the issues we have with what we have currently, that they're all kind of struggling, saying, you know, you're putting money into something that hasn't worked that great to begin with.
Our recommendations still in terms of large purchase for the board to approve would be going with what's asked of at Yoder. If the board does not want to consider that recommendation and either wants to replace one of these units, or not do anything at all, then there would be no action taken. But our recommendation, from maintenance and my desk would be the ones we presented last month in regards to Yoder. That keeps us going with our plan. Yes, this is still a need. This need does not go away, and there are still other needs. Including transportation, all those that Chad presented, are all still needs. The needs that we've talked about, the HVAC units that are gonna come needed at Haven Grade School, because they're all at that end of life, they're part of that energy lease. So that is our recommendation. If the board is still not ready to move on that recommendation, if we have more people around the table, we can.
Yeah,
Can we wait on that?
I would just like to, and I apologize for not having it ahead of this, but just to kind of, run the number breakout on the different projects, if that was possible. And just, I can send it back out.
I think we got the orders right here.
No, I mean, just on my cost analysis, people that it affects, number of kids it affects, all of the different things that it affects, and break it down per student cost.
At the end of the day, is it gonna matter much though?
It helps when you're making decisions as far as what's more, where your money goes further and what's more important to fix first.
I think that we wanna fix first where the kids are every day, the gym doesn't bother me that much right now, we can just put the Band-Aid.
Right, but Yoder's not down either, it's just something that is,
Well, I know, but it's a whole process we gotta start.
right, but I don't know, I'm just,
I think with us going with Yoder is, I mean, those, once again, those units are those were done at the same time, 18 years old. We have 30 units, 30 to 40 some units of those, and when the other units that we had on the middle school were, 20 some years old when they went bad, and when they went bad, they all seemed to go bad at once. So I don't think we wanna be in that position. That's kinda why we went with Yoder. We don't wanna be in a position where we have 30 to 40 units all of a sudden at once going bad on us. Now we're in a bad situation, so keeping ahead of it is just the reason that we wanna go that route, so we're not trying to replace 30 units at once. We do 6, 7 a year, whatever we can kind of afford.
This will be a continual agenda item, so there is not gonna be any action taken tonight on that.
Is this from CMW, is that what you're recommending, the 54,000?
Those are
energy.
Yeah.
Right, so all the ones on here, no, you're, all
For
the ones on
little
here, great.
motors?
Done in that energy lease, that's one of them.
That's
So
five
we
units,
go
right?
there and they're 18 years old, so.
All of them are.
Yes, it was all off, that's why you're.
Do we need to figure out the $8,000 to at least work on this one?
No, that I can go ahead, the consensus of the board is, we were gonna wait a little while, but just cause we don't need it here right now, but, I can go ahead and do that.
That's what it doesn't matter, you're not gonna need air till
Yeah.
April.
So,
You guys could probably just use your best judgment, figure that out.
we can move forward with that, but.
8,000 kinda comes out of some of the maintenance repairs and stuff that we kinda have in our budget every year.
Where would that 54,000, if we take CMW's bid, would that come out of capital outlays? Or what have we spent already this year out of capital outlay?
We bought the bus, and then some uniforms, is it. Big expenditure was last year when we did HVAC, or I'm sorry, the
The
Baxter,
electrical.
the Baxter and the
Right,
electrical.
And we have that money from ESSER that was left over?
And there, yeah,
That's
that,
kinda where
yes,
we were.
the ESSER dollars that recoded right, that $80,000 that were put back into capital outlay was why, one of the main reasons we were recommending even moving forward with some HVAC.
So actually the ESSER money would be covering the Yoder.
Correct.
That's,
I mean, it's a half a dozen of one, something was coded wrong, we paid for out of capital outlay, that had to then get recoded, and then that money was just put in capital outlay.
What's the time frame on that, or what is their time frame? on
like
that?
if they got the bid, when would they do
Yeah.
it? Like we would approved it last month, he said he probably could have possibly been starting on it over Christmas break, but now I'd probably say spring break, or, out there, they got kids in the classroom all the time, so all year round, makes it a little more difficult, but it'd be done during spring break or then pushed to the summer. Cost goes up, so we would want them to buy the units now, and it may have to sit somewhere, but then maybe our district too have to sit somewhere till they can get them installed.
If they sit on it, I'd sure like to see them have a certificate of insurance on that, that they're holding on to,
Yeah,
especially if we pay for the material. Because if we wait longer, to get on the list, we may not get it.
And like you said, the prices keep going up.
Well, but
I that goes 5 units, we could actually get into our storage building. If we had to store them over at Yoder, we could make room for them to sit in there and they'd be protected until they could get there.
I guess where I'm coming from, with being in the construction, I'm also seeing what's coming up for May, June, July, and August of next year. And if we wait too long, I mean, I also hear what she's saying, would like to see that if we wait too long, we won't get it. It won't be until next winter. I guess I'll be about crazy enough to make a motion that we go and do the Yoder HVAC, use CMW, and then also get it repaired whenever they can get to it.
Okay, we don't need to repair though in
No,
motion.
no repair.
So, got a motion to approve the HVAC replacement at Yoder. A second? Second by Ron. All in favor? 5-0.
And we'll keep an eye on that and keep updating and, so then the other would be just discussion regarding the bids on the outside of the building. Chris can kind of talk to that, pretty extensive, pretty expensive as well. So, you know, obviously would not be recommendation at this time to do that, possibly something at the end of the year, to look and see where we're at. You know, because we also still have the track to discuss, as well.
And so we I don't know why I can't find the other company we had a bid. They were a little bit cheaper last year. If we were to proceed with this, we would obviously get that other company out again. I know the company, but I just can't find their number right now. I know they're a little cheaper, but this bid would be like, kind of Haven Gray has talked about it, some of the brickwork and some of the damage to the high school where we have cracks and foundation repairs. At the grade school, there's some foundation cracks in the building repairs, so they'd be going out and trying to fix the cracks, the repairs, broken bricks, some stucco that's broke. Yeah, a lot of those things like that, they would try to get in and repair that stuff. And
That's the cheap one.
I know. Crazy. The thing's break, you wouldn't think it'd be that hard. I don't know anything about break, but.
Is this mostly cosmetic, or is it like, is there leaking around windows, or?
I think the grade school, a lot of that is more cosmetic because it's been like that for a while. It's an old building, so there's been some cracks, but the high school, more of that stuff, it's causing issues with inside the building and water getting inside, and it's more of needing to be repaired. It's a need, a lot more than, the grade school I'd say would be more of a cosmetic than the high school. High school's just in a need.
I'm also a little scared of what they'll find behind those walls. They're rusted out. There's been a lot of water.
Yeah, during the bond, they repaired several of our walls, went inside about 6 inches up, cut the drywall away, resealed it, and they're all metal beams in the walls, and it was all rusted away. Everything was rusted away on the bottom side. So a lot of that was repaired on the inside, and just the outside just needs to be painted every so many years because they just come back. I don't know, Ken, what do you think of painting every 10 years, or what do you think the time frame is?
Well, it depends a little bit what they use. I could never find what they said they were gonna use.
This is an epoxy type paint that's on there now.
But epoxy will
More-
deteriorate because the UV rays, it won't last. Unless they use a polymer.
Yeah, I'd have to get, I could get that for you, I just can't, I know it's what's recommended for that.
I
type
knew
of
they
wall.
said epoxy and I go, wait a minute. that'll, in 5 years, it'll be gone. I don't know why they don't use the last rank, because that'll not breathe and expand. We can try. But we can go over that if we can.
Yeah, so we're not looking for any action tonight, I think just to get this out in front of you, that, you know, this would be the other project, we were looking for another project, I think this is the one that's come up on our facilities assessment, in the red as well, but knowing that the price tag is high, and, you know, when we get to that point, if the board wants to, yeah, we truly need to do something, then, you know, we'll have that conversation of, you know, we cut out a bus, you know, what are we doing with mills, you know, all those things that can kind of impact and allow us to save up some funds to be able to do that. Or continue to spend down cash reserves, but I know we're at that level now where board as a whole would like to keep it.
On the, I mean, obviously on high school, since it's not cosmetic, I mean, every year we wait, I mean, we don't have any idea how bad it is other than it's, I mean, like you said, once they get into it, we're never gonna know until they start cutting stuff out to see what.
Well, they really won't cut anything out, they'll fix a lot of the cracks and the broken parts and then just repaint it, so they're not really gonna cut anything open.
So we may not even know what the structural problems are underneath.
Yeah, on the inside, what's happened, probably you won't really know.
Till the school falls down.
Until it
Okay.
starts bulging.
So I guess that's where I was kind of going with my question. I know I don't articulate things very well, but if we were looking at things, all the different things that either need to be done, and we only have a certain amount of money, like if this is a must do, or, you know, that's where I'm trying to go with that, is why are we not looking at them as a whole? Instead of, okay, we have this for this and this for this, can we not look at them as a whole?
If the board as a whole would like to do that, I think the, kind of going at the, where the board has wanted to keep cash reserves, and knowing we went below $1 million with the fax room purchase, and our normal, and also just staying at 4 mills, there's not going to be enough money to do all of those.
Right, I'm just saying, like, we
So,
just
but it-
voted to approve the Yoder thing, and I'm saying, I know that that's a need. But then we have the building to the high school that is currently, if it's currently causing damage, that's a need. Which need, if we only have a certain amount of money, which need is more important to fix now?
That's why we went off the recommendation of maintenance, and the superintendent brought to it which project should be
Okay.
fixed first.
So the HVAC is the one then we're.
That's what their recommendation was, unless you guys have something different.
The board would like to move forward with this, then I just need to hear that. It is
Well, I
not
don't
my
wanna spend any
recommendation.
more money, I just don't know what's more necessary to, what's gonna cause more damage if left longer.
They're all needs, Kelly, and the list is extensive, and we presented that, and that's when, this summer, when we wanted to do more, when I presented 8 mills, because of our capital outlay needs. And then we lowered that down, and then the board voted to stay at revenue neutral, which kept us at 4 mills, and so we didn't bring in enough money to do a project like this, and then still get buses, do HVAC, do roofs, save for science lab, talk about uniforms, all these things. So that's when we recommend the HVAC, that keeps us going. That is our recommendation with the money we have. If the board would like to continue to spend, here's the amount that it's gonna cost to do this. It would not be my recommendation to do that, because I think it takes us into a point where the board has always let me know they won't feel comfortable spending down to. If that's changed as a board as a whole, hey, it's still a need. Our needs, that list is long. And that, like I said, that is why I recommended 8 mills out of capital outlay, because that list is long. And it continues to grow, and especially as we continue to move with those HVAC units that were part of that energy lease. And so, to say what is needed more, they're all needs. Every single one of them is a need in this district. And it comes down to whether it's personal preference or, but our recommendation, my recommendation is we would not have the funds and to feel safe to make this purchase, but here's what it is going to cost, because there's going to come a day where something is going to have to be done, and that is probably going to rely in either raising mills or having the discussion about a bond. And I don't know when that is, and that's for you all to decide, but in just trying to stay with the direction that the board is giving me, and if that's changed, we can change and go about it a different direction, but in terms of what we have and what we're able to spend, this would not be there, and certainly not right now.
You do ask a good question, Kelly, but the answer is difficult to answer, right? Like, so, with Yoder, air conditioners start dropping like flies, then you got 100 kids that have no air conditioning. The gym goes bad, you potentially have hot spots, but kids are probably only in there for an hour, so it's probably not as bad. So far, we haven't experienced any direct problems from these holes or cracks, but we could, and that's what's hard, because it's not.
Well, I think if we,
It's hard to find a black and
And I
white
guess
answer
that's what I'm
to the priority. Like, I mean, for me, I think the Yoder one is probably the most important, because you have little kids that potentially, and it may not be today, it may be a year from now, but because they were all put out there at the same time, like, we could potentially have a pretty big problem in a pretty short amount of time.
no, I think it's a need.
Yeah,
The air conditioning, the high school's just as much as need as air conditioning, but like Craig said, with the money that we have, it's just, we don't have the money, from what I feel, we don't have the money to come in with the $300,000 to $4,000 needs that we
So if you
have.
prioritized them, this is just as much of a need as any of the others, but it's more like this
A couple years
is
ago,
more
we had
feasible financially.
We can get it to you. We had an engineering firm come in and do a facility assessment 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and these were all highs on the thing. I mean, we kind of piecemealed roof repairs. I mean, not that we necessarily need to break it up today, but is this potentially something that could be, split it up over the course of 2 or 3 years? And
I mean, yeah, we could do
I mean, it's
portions of the
it's
building.
a little bit, always more expensive to do
Yeah.
it that way, but it might be the only way that we can do it.
And I know I brought this, since Craig's been, I brought
Yeah.
up this building to be painted every year.
Yeah.
I
You-
know
it's
I
one of
know that
those-
it's just,
I just feel it's a little high.
If
And
we're-
it may be.
that bit is, I think the other one was, I just don't know, I can't find it, but I know it seemed like more around the 250 range to do both buildings, I thought, and this is what, up around quite a bit more. It was quite a bit more. The other guy was quite a bit cheaper.
If the board is saying, Craig, yeah, and we agree, then, the conversation is, okay, do we not wanna buy a bus? Those things out of next year's money. Those are the conversations when it comes to that point, to have them, that. But in terms of other projects, we won't bring any just because of the cost of, it was the thing about how we've done stuff. So the 7 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the auditorium was done, we were able to raise, enough money over the next couple of years to then put the fax room in. So that's the kind of thing, when you think about big projects like that, that has to happen when you're not bringing in as much revenue. Plus the other projects that we, HVAC roof that are, necessity, trying to stay on top of.
And I think that was where there was some misunderstanding too on the budget, where I like to see what our budget looks like at a certain point, and then if we're gonna raise taxes, what are we giving up? If we don't raise taxes, what are we saying, okay, we're willing to raise the taxes on people because we're going to fix this, not just, we have endless amounts of needs, but just to be more specific about them. Okay, we're giving up not being able to fix a definite need.
I feel we've done that. When you talk about that account, that's just capital outlay, and so the difference between 4 mills and 8 mills is $400,000, $500,000 for us, and so you think about the things on the list that $500,000 could go towards. We could put a number to the science labs, to the secure entrances, all these things, the new parking lot, to be able to do that. If that's what the board needs, but kind of going into it, one, saving money, knowing that we're always gonna try to buy a bus and keep our fleet updated, have HVAC and roof needs, and then also keep, building the contingency to then do that next big project. And so that was part of, with the budget. The budget also doesn't, where we say we're gonna keep spending this, this, and this, and then, we're just looking for spending authority. But if the board would like me to, for the budget next year, to say, here's what we would spend that 8 mils on, can do that, but the process has been kind of throughout the year knowing that that list is always growing, and tackling off of it what we can.
I would just
Yeah.
like to have more,
Be good.
solid knowledge of what I'm raising taxes for people on.
I'd like to ask if I could work with Chris a little bit and going around the building and see if we can do, because I think that number's too high and I don't like what they had proposed. Maybe work and come up with something that,
Yeah.
see if we can get something maybe even a little better and last more like 10 to 15 years versus 5 years.
It'd be good, because the school's not going anywhere.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna go out and do it on my own. I mean, unless I
Let's
have,
hope so.
Oh, come on, you can
If it is, we got more problems.
donate your time.
well, I understand that, but I'm just saying, I'm not gonna go step out and do it without
Yeah.
the blessing of the board.
I think that's a good idea to have a set of eyes, I mean, that's just your field.
That's what I'm saying, but
I mean,
All right,
You get with Chris then, Ken? I'll let you.
Yeah, I have no problem with that at all. I think I talked to you about it last year even actually, but.
I just need to, like I said, I just need to hear from each one of you that you're okay with that,
yep, that's fine.
so. Okay. Try to get with you.
No problem.
Did it, Chris?
Good. Thank you.
All right, next up, December 25 KSB policy updates.
Yeah, so per biannual, KSB sends out their recommendations regarding policy updates, indoor adoptions, for new policies. I've shared, the, one pager, it's actually technically 4 pages, but, document, and then also in that same folder is the red line version, so it's where they've crossed everything out and you can see the changes. Now, this is first read, so now this is just introduction and gives you guys over the next month to read through these. Let me know of any things that you would like, if there are any of them that would like further discussion and or changes. And then we'll bring them back next month as a second read, but I would recommend that the board pulls IIBE, the use of artificial intelligence, which is a new policy. We are currently working on our own. We've been kind of waiting for this, and we started that work, for KSB to give some guidance, and they haven't got that out when we were quite ready for it, and so between admin and then we'll share it with DLT and would run through this process of a first read, second read. We've got a couple different drafts, and this KASB one will be one of the ones we'll present to DLT to allow staff to give any more feedback in regards of the use of artificial intelligence by both staff and students for that. So that would be the one I would recommend. As I look through them, most of them are just some adoptions or updates, and so just to be reviewed, but I'll open up to any questions, but as I said, if you've got any more specifics as you read through them over the next month that you would like to be pulled off for that second read for the board to discuss further, that would be the time to do that.
So what would that, any tidbits on what the AI policy would be like?
Yeah, well, example would be, you know, we have approved tools, you know, that we have a process that AI is a tool and our kids should be taught how to use it correctly. You know, whether it's citing or being able to do that. You know, on the teacher side, it would be, you know, policy saying you're not putting student information in those kinds of things, that puts those kinds of things in writing that aren't currently out there. You know, it's not going anywhere, and it's only evolving. You know, so making sure we want to teach our kids to use it right, and you know, we're supporting teachers and have things in place to.
And where did you say, I'm sorry, Miss, where the full read is, or where it's marked out?
Yes, if you will go into the board drive, and I'll show you, County, where it says
Yeah.
exhibits,
It's not the full one.
where it's exhibits in the board drive,
Okay.
it says all in red line.
Oh, okay.
Get this one right here. So it looks like this, and so then they, just the ones, they went in through and you could see what they've taken out, and so what you would be
That's what I
ultimately
was.
approving, yep. That's all I have on that, till next month.
All right.
And I would say the artificial intelligence one will be a couple months before we would bring it to the board as a first read. Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is the board governance document. And I can't remember where we stopped. You guys remember where we stopped?
It should be, somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
I like mine now.
Timing of executive session, is that what you had?
So at least we have something in
I've got a line
common, right?
of stuff there. Chris handed me his and he like,
Yeah.
He
So
doesn't
he
have,
left yours,
he doesn't have anything marked on it, but.
this would be one time where I wish we just took it up for next month.
Oh, just because everybody's gone?
Yeah.
I mean, here it is, there's nothing in this, yeah,
You
you
don't have
have
to,
to,
yeah, you don't have to sign
this
it.
is.
You can't, we can't wait.
Was this for the first section we talked about last month? Or was this for just?
I'm not sure where you left off. So one of them was, I know that it was addressed,
That one had that you got crossed out things in yours,
yes,
so that's the latest one, yes.
yes. The other,
Nicole had some feedback. I'm looking at it. I think this was mostly stuff we talked about in the last.
this, the proposed rewording for the avoiding surprises one is more just it doesn't change what it's saying, it's just a recommendation for sorry.
What was it say there?
Just to avoid surprises, because I asked on that, I had a question. And I brought it up about the question about work to avoid surprises, and we'll give the superintendent or board president notification of concerns prior to the board meeting, so that the concerns can be properly addressed.
And my recommendation is just that it pertains to, agenda items. Just because of the way that the KASB has it worded in theirs.
So that's just saying, like, prepare the agenda ahead of time so that board members are aware.
Well, and
of
if
what
there's
the-
questions or concerns by the board about an agenda item, that it's discussed or clarified beforehand, not so
Asked,
much
yeah.
like all concerns be addressed beforehand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does,
Yes.
yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
And then the other one is further into I don't know, it's after the executive session, timing of executive session. Did you guys figure
So
out
we
where
are
you
at
left
that,
off?
I think we are at,
Yeah, we
attendance
stopped
and
at-
executive sessions,
yeah, we
right?
stopped right at
Okay,
that
so
time.
it'll be after that then.
That's where I marked where we were at.
Go ahead.
Okay, so do we wanna kick this down the road for another month, so Jessica and Chris are back, we got everybody? Or do you wanna keep going?
It'd be, I mean, if we're gonna discuss and say, okay, we like this, and then we come next month and they go, oh, well,
We don't like it. They don't like that.
yeah, that it doesn't give them time for, it doesn't give a complete whole group when we're proposing to change something.
I'm fine with waiting.
I won't be here next month, but you can go ahead and discuss it next week.
Will you be available to,
Depending on if our plan gets back in time.
You can read through it and provide feedback. Leave y'all there.
Okay.
All right, moving along, approval of.
sorry,
For what? No, I'm so sad.
I just wanna tell Chris how quickly we moved through the meeting when he went around.
we're gonna hurry.
All right, approval of work agreements and contracts. What?
Just have one.
Just have one. So, need a motion to approve, moved by Ken,
Second.
seconded by Kelly, all in favor? 5-0. All right, RCEC report, Chris isn't here, so we don't have one of those. Superintendent report?
Just a few things. We did find out, as you've seen on Facebook, that we did receive a star in social emotional learning. Somehow they missed our application, and so that brings up to a total of 3 this year. And next month, Megan will be here to talk about that program and what goes into each one of those, and the work behind it, and then some other ones that the state also gives stars out for that we'll continue to strive for.
What color was our stars?
Let's see here, copper.
Purple.
I thought we moved on bronze.
We did on kindergarten readiness,
Okay.
you know, as I said, and that's like one of 13 in the state, so I'm pretty proud, so.
Oh, no, it's bronze. They're both bronze.
Sure.
This social emotional is bronze too.
No, it's
It's not.
Oh, we have 2 social emotional. One of them should be IPS, so. We'll also present next month on our winter Fast Bridge data. Haven High School will be here to present their building report. And if you'll remember, King Solar will also be here to talk solar options. And then also our audit, our CPA will be here to finally go through our audit. With the government shutdown being done, they were able to get our audit complete, but he is in another district already scheduled for tonight, so he'll present that to you. We have our closeout meeting on Friday, so we'll go through that. As I just said in my email, we had our child nutrition audit as well, and it went well. And Michaela put just the one issue in her report. It was an easy fix. And then also just, you know, I'm pretty sure they're not watching, but I do appreciate the time that Senator Murphy, Representative Seiwert, and State Board Member Hirschberger gave today to tour Little Learners in Haven High School before certainly our 2 congressmen go into session next month. But appreciate their time and their efforts in that. Next week we do have another visit from our senator or representative that represents Mount Hope, and he'll tour the grade school and the high school. So it's been a good week, and Christmas break will be here in 2 weeks, so it's hard to believe. So I'll answer any questions or carry on.
Questions for Craig? All right. Board member reports. Start with you, Ken.
None.
What?
Don't fall over.
Oh,
It can happen. I'm sorry to let you down.
you're a good girl.
I am.
Nicole, did you? I don't have any either.
There's growth, okay, growth.
All right, clerk report.
No, do not.
We are cruising. All right, so next board meeting, January 12th,
Next year.
next year. Motion to adjourn. Ken, second. Kelly, all in favor? Boom.